The winner is not about who has the best model. The winner is about who could use it the best in their own industries, in their own lives. And that's going to be in China.
So could you share with us, with the audience about the competitive advantage of China in terms of, becoming an AI superpower?
I think the way Americans want to define who's winning the AI race is purely by looking at how good the large language model is. We don't look at the AI race according to the American definition. We look at the entire stack of where China has the advantage. You start with energy. China has an advantage in electricity generation, and that's because 15 years ago, the government had the foresight to invest massively in energy transmission. When you generate electricity in the north, it has to be be transported to the south, right? And when you generate electricity, especially in clean energy, where there's sun, there's wind, there's water, not necessarily is where they need the electricity. So it has to be transmitted to somewhere else. So the state grid in China, they make $90 billion of capex annually. The United States, 30 billion only. So the United States is massively underinvesting in electricity transmission. So China has an energy advantage. And then we look at how much it costs to build a data center. So it's 60% cheaper to build data centers in China. And then you look at the model development, I actually think that the Chinese models are not very far behind the United States. And there's a reason for that. China has a lot of engineers. And it's the country that produced the most STEM students every year. You would think that developing AI and training models is a very sort of high-level research type exercise. But a lot of the work is actually in the engineering. If the system is not efficient, it will cost you a lot of GPU resources. So China being lacking in GPUs actually creates an advantage of starvation. When you don't have a lot of resources, you are forced to innovate at the systems level. And this is where China is strong, and lots of engineers talent. Globally, almost half of the AI scientists and researchers have had a degree from a Chinese university.
Globally?
And I just recently saw a social media post. Someone working at Meta, which is Facebook, is complaining that this is not a non-Chinese person. He's complaining that the AI team that he's working in, everybody is speaking Chinese, and they're sharing ideas in Chinese. So, what that means is a lot of the idea sharing and exchange is happening in Chinese, globally, in AI. This is the first time Chinese language is an advantage. So anyway, I just listed a number of these sort of advantages that China has, but the biggest advantage is that I believe the approach that Chinese companies are taking toward the large language models, which is open source, will accelerate the adoption of AI, and will really make the really realize the proliferation of AI that would benefit broader society. Okay, and the reason open source is so important is that it is cheap. It actually doesn't cost anything to use open source models. So the open source approach is helping the proliferation of AI, whereas in the United States, if you want to use AI, you got to pay OpenAI a lot of money to use AI. So I think that's ultimately the advantage of China, because the winner is not about who has the best model. The winner is about who could use it the best in their own industries, in their own lives. And that's going to be in China.